Hello folks and welcome. So I have a video for you discussing the difference in the way to install software from Linux Mint 22 to 22.1. So I'm filming this on 22.1. So a lot of people were thinking it's just a minor update when you go from Linux Mint 22 to 22.1. However, you may not be aware that there was a lot of changes done under the hood regarding how software gets installed and why the Linux Mint team decided to omit one of the things about installing software. That is called Synaptic Package Manager. You will not find that by default installation on 22.1, but you will find it on the previous versions. So on the previous versions, you can use Software Manager, Terminal, or Synaptic Package Manager. So with the new changes, 22.1 doesn't have Synaptic by default installed. However, there could be some benefits of installing Synaptic. Maybe it's a preference thing, or it could be that you're trying to do some research of where certain files are stored on your hard drive. And I'll show you some of those things today. I'll also talk about the differences about the Synaptic and Software Manager when it comes down to Flatpak software. And I'll also just give you one example of using a terminal command using my history buffer and a line code for previous installation of software or commands. Filming in 1080. My screen res is in 4K. Please adjust your YouTube player if necessary. The subscription logo is in the corner if you like to subscribe. Person with yellow brackets on it. I recommend for all of my subscribers and future to read my posts and my mission statement. I also recommend that also if you're a casual viewer. There's some important information in there you may want to touch upon. All my 500 plus videos are also keyword indexed, and you can use the magnifying glass next to the posts in the center of that page. All right. 22.1 has a lot of changes under the hood. So the Linux Mint team chose not to install this because of those changes. But there is some benefits possibly if you'd like to install it, to install Synaptic Package Manager. Yours will not be installed if you're using 22.1. If you're on the previous version, you may have that installed, or if you did an upgrade, I'm not sure if it even removed that. It all depends if you did a fresh install. From the aspect of a fresh install, you do not have this installed. And it's fairly basic, and it's a system package. Software Manager also contains Flatpak software, and I'll talk about those. So mine is installed, and I'm going to type in SY. You can right-click, add to panel, desktop, or favorites. You can also click and drag. Now, if you're a fairly new subscriber or a new to Linux Mint, special welcome to you. I speak a little bit slower than a lot of the YouTubers for a reason. I have subscribers from all over planet Earth, and some of them are non-English speakers or not native English speakers. English is also my second language, so I do appreciate that when other YouTubers do the same. Now I'm going to move on, and we're going to talk about the difference between Software Manager and Synaptic. Synaptic does not contain Flatpak software. I will be saying this a couple of times today. So I may sound like I'm repeating myself, and I am, for emphasis. We're going to start with this, though. So Hazel is just a made-up name. I like to have different fun with different names occasionally. And today's date is the 13th of March, 2025. Inside of the Synaptic Package Manager window, down here in the left-hand corner, you will see a number. That current number is 79,645 packages are listed here as of today's date. This will change eventually. 22 or 2,278 are currently installed. This does not contain Flatpak. If you have Flatpak software installed through Software Manager, that's not a reflection of that number. All right, so this is Synaptic. Some people prefer to use it to install software and delete software, but they also use it for another reason. To check where these are installed, I will pick on this game. This is hard for me to pronounce, so I'm just going to point to it and open that. It says Klondike, but this is the name of the game. We are going to find all about this game. Now, generally, you can right-click and do the properties thing, but I'm going to put all of these tabs here in the main window. And that is done through Settings, Preferences. This is the first thing that I turn on if I use Synaptic. It's just a convenient factor of doing this. Okay? Description. Some things have screenshots, some things not so much. Common, who is maintaining it, installed, latest version, dependencies. And the most important thing, if you're looking for where it's located. These are all the places on your hard drive where these files are pertaining to this card game called Solitaire. Let's open this together. Well, not together, but anyways. Hazel is our made-up name user for today. This is Nemo, your file manager. Click on System, File System. This is root. I'm going to look for that right there. So it's USR directory or USR folder, games, SOL. Generally, you're not going to do this, but I'll do it anyways. I'm going to be typing that directly into the terminal box. If you want me to make that bigger, it's Control, hold it down, Shift, hold it down, and plus, plus, plus to make things bigger. SOL, enter. There's your card game. Generally, do we use that? No. But there is a shortcut for it. There's also a shortcut for another one in here. This is called K-Patience. So if I put in K-Pat, it'll open up that game. Okay. That's the name of this game. It's the same thing as me clicking this. You can see it's the same. Anyways, so I found the location of where that is. So as I scroll down, you can see there's a lot of locations on the hard drive. But what if I wanted to see what the cards look like? Well, I can go here because it has the word cards in it. So USR, let's follow the path, share, USR share, and the next one is the name of the game here, and cards. Then I'll double click that. And that's what the cards look like. Is this of value to everyone? No, only certain individuals. But in case you wanted to see where these things are located, there's a path of all these files. Linux maintains a big history on a lot of things, doesn't it? Yes, it does. So if we were to go to sections, we can do categories, or we can just click on something and mark it for install. If it comes up with an arrow immediately, the legend for that would be marked for installation. It's currently white. If it was green, it would be marked for reinstallation, or if it's an arrow going kind of in and out or from the bottom up, marked for upgrade. Now you can see all the different legends. Some of these require more than one package though. I will find one that has at least two. Let's try that one. As soon as I click that, it says I need some additional stuff. Your software manager does the same. It will display what additional stuff that it needs, and you just mark it and then apply if you're going to install that. I'm not. I'm just going to click out. The other thing we can do is we can find applications. Now let me go look in here for a second. Let's pick on VLC. Now if I do it by name only instead of the description and name, it finds it faster if I know the proper name. If I use the other one, description and name, you'll just get almost like an A through Z list up here. So we're going to do this a little bit smarter. So it has a couple of words that says VLC in it, so it kind of targets the area. I'm going to scroll down, and here's the actual application itself. And it's green. That means it's installed based on our legend. solid green. So I'm going to close and go to the software manager. Now I can type in VLC in here, and I can also click the hamburger menu and show installed. All right, so the installed is just the stuff that you installed, or I installed. And you can see that other game is installed in here. And then there's another piece of software that comes from FlatHub. We'll talk about that in a minute. VLC is at the bottom. I'm going to go and remove it. Now it's going to say, I'm going to remove the rest of these packages to free up some space. Hazel password. Why does Linux do this? For security reasons. Some other operating systems don't adhere to those rules, and you sometimes have malicious software installed without your knowledge. Well, it requires usually a username and password to install these things. I'll leave it at that. But not on Linux. Now, VLC is gone. We'll open up Synaptic. We'll get the same results in here. You will have a white box if you do a search for it. As I scroll, you can see that I can still get information on this except for install files. So you can install stuff, deinstall stuff, and look up information if it's not Flatpak software. And where does the stuff come from? Well, in this case, it would be Linux Mint and Ubuntu. If you ever change the mirrors, you can always restore that to default, but you can do this and change the mirrors. In other words, another location where you can get main packages and base packages. They are separate. So if I click one of these, it's going to be the new location of where it's going to pull those. And then you would change your mind, you do restore. This dialog box is also found in your software manager and your system settings. Your system settings, it's found down at the bottom. It's the same dialog box. As you can see. I'll close that. All right, VLC is not installed. All right, so let me talk about one feature in your terminal that you can use. So I did this video a couple of times. I'm going to show this hidden file for a second if you're not aware of this. A lot of the advanced users are well aware of this file. It actually stores your commands, whatever you punched into terminal, whether they're good commands or bad commands. And in here you can see I tried to install VLC twice because I was remaking this video. And you see there's no line numbers on them. Do I normally edit this file? No, normally not. I'll turn this off. Now you see it, now you don't. But that file had no line numbers on them. I'll make this bigger for you. Control Shift and a couple of pluses. And then I'm going to type the word history. In here, you will see line numbers, 1 through 13 in this case. They can be used for your benefit. Line 4 and line 10 are installation commands. Number 4 says sudo space apt space install. And VLC is our package. So I'm going to install that, but I'm not going to type in the command. So I'm going to install VLC in here. And I'm going to use line code 4 for doing this. Shift and number 1 gives me an exclamation point. Number 4 and enter. That's faster than me typing in sudo apt install VLC. However, it just put it in there for me. Then I'll put in the password and answer the question, yes, I do want to continue to finish the install. And then I'll type in exit. And that's all I'm going to do talking about terminal. And now that's installed. All right, now let's talk about Software Manager. And again, the difference between Synaptic and Software Manager is Software Manager also contains Flatpak software, or from FlatHub. So when you open this up to see the software sources, again, Hazel is our user, you will see whatever you have for mirrors. And if you're not using the standard ones, then whatever you have. And you can always restore them. But additional PPAs, I have blank. Additional repos, I have one for Google because I installed, the other day I was doing a video for web browsers, if I can hit it. There it is. You may not like that web browser, but I was doing that for the purpose of showing the fact that you can install other web browsers. In either case, I'm going to move on. So this has additional software that comes from this place right here. So we're going to type in FlatHub. So flathub.org has a lot of Linux distributions that use this. I'm just resizing this on the fly. So set up FlatHub. I want you to notice all these different distributions. You may recognize some of them. You certainly should recognize that one. But if I click on Linux Mint, it says no setup required. So Linux Mint has a special connector that is a secure connection to FlatHub or the ancillary databases that it gets its software from. And then you can have it displayed in here. And all of these are from FlatHub. So even the GIMP over here has two versions, FlatHub or the system package I currently have installed. OBS Studio, I use occasionally myself, not today. Generally, Simple Screen Recorder works on a lot of different systems, and I use OBS occasionally. It's just a preference thing. So this particular software is not installed. You can see it says install on it. It is version 31.0.2, and you can probably see this. Again, I'm filming in 1080. That says 1.3 gigabyte download and 4.1 on the disk. That's pretty hefty. It's coming from FlatHub. This one on the other end is a system package. 23 megabytes download and something on the space. I think disk space is 89. This is version 30. So it's an older version considering that Flatpak version. So maybe you have a reason to install that, or maybe not. Maybe the other one works great for you. Now, if you remember when I went to the web browser for that flathub.org, there was a lot of different Linux distributions that use that. And that's why it's considered self-contained software. That's why these things are big, because generally it doesn't need too many things from your system. So now you know a little bit about Flatpak software. There's also a thing in here, if you haven't paid attention to that, show unverified Flatpaks, not recommended, could present a huge security risk if it has not been approved by the developer, or it could be maintained by anyone. So again, that's one of the things that Linux Mint put in there for you. All right, let me show you a piece of software that is not found normally. It shows nothing, right? I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to turn this feature on to let you see that it'll come up as red. Okay, there's that symbol right there. Unverified Flatpak, if you've ever seen that. It's actually a fun play. I thought it was. And the screenshots are awful in my book, but that's just me. So I'm going to turn that back off to go back to default. So now when I type that back in, nothing found. Now you get the idea what the use for that is. So you'll have a mixture of software. So if you're using Synaptic and also Software Manager, just keep in mind that Synaptic does not display Flatpak software. And I believe by default installation, I'm almost positive that if you're trying to look for Flatpak software in terminal, the same thing by the default application installation. There's probably a way that you can install Flatpak through terminal if you perform a couple of things, and probably has something to do with possibly even adding some additional software to make that happen in case you want to do that. I don't think it's necessary. I personally would, if you are going to use Flatpak software, just click or go find it if you're wanting to use Flatpak. So as a recap, folks, Software Manager contains software from Mint and Ubuntu and FlatHub. Synaptic does not contain Flatpak software. But Synaptic can also be used to maybe research some of the file location on your hard drive in case they're regular software packages instead of Flatpak. Thank you for watching.